Good evening and welcome to another episode of the Power Half Hour Unstoppable Business Owner. And I am your host, Dorothy Odell, for this evening. Before we get this party started, I just want to give a shout out to our sponsor, thekimbra.com. If you're needing unlimited time, money, and resources, this is definitely the community that you want to get your hands into. So go to the Kimbra.com right now and sign up and tell them Dorothy sent you. With that, I would love to bring to the stage Steve Roake. Welcome to the stage, Steve.
Thanks, Dorothy.
So, for those of you that have no idea who Steve is, why don't you introduce yourself, Steve? Tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and we'll go from there.
All right. So, I guess if you've watched multiple episodes of Unstoppable Overcomers, you know who Kimberly is. And Kimberly is my business partner in real estate. And so primarily make most of my income from real estate sales. And we also do a couple of other things. So I'm also involved with Kimbra, which is the sponsor, for the show that you just mentioned. And I'm not like in front of the camera for Kimbra. I'm more of the behind the scenes guy, and making some of the things that work there work. And so that is one of them. I'm also a life insurance producer with PHP. I recently became a solar ambassador for Power Solar. So it's really a lot of just little projects here and there that are, designed to generate, recurring income, ideally, and, now income, and then, really help people to meet their own goals. So when I got the life insurance with the real estate, it really went together because people buy a home and their life insurance needs change, right? And then as a client, what I saw was, people have children, they need more life insurance. Their kids move out, maybe they needed to look at it again. So throughout, all of your life, you have different life insurance needs, and why not help my clients with that and make that something else that I'm doing. So.
Awesome. There was one thing I had no idea about you when I read your bio. I had no idea that you were at one time a school teacher.
Yes, I taught high school math for 5 years until 2009, when everything was falling apart everywhere, and my district did not rehire me. I had gotten recommended for rehire, so it was a little shocking at the end of the year when they said, "Okay, nope, you're not coming back." And I went on, I think, exactly one interview in the summer, and it was they were looking for someone who was bilingual and could teach in Spanish, which wasn't me. So I was like, okay, what am I going to do? And so I had gotten my real estate license in 2003, and I basically just did it as like really just played around, right? Friends and family for the most part. I did not work that business at all until I had to in 2009. And so, 5 years high school math. So master's degree in secondary education not being used today. Except for like educating my clients, right?
There we go.
Yeah.
There's always the upside of that. And, so many people nowadays don't use the degree that they have. I mean, I have used mine for 25 years. It's time to retire it. And so, and that's why we're doing this.
That's what the show's all about, right?
That's what the show's all about. And so, yeah, I had no idea that you were a teacher back in the day. So that is awesome. I know your wife is a teacher, but I did not know.
She is still practicing and providing our health insurance. Thank you, Dawn. I just throw that out there because she tells me that all the time.
Well, somebody's got to have that, right? Somebody's got to provide that. So,
yes.
But we're here talking about your real estate business and your life insurance business. But you have got something going on. There's you have multiple things going on. So, what one thing do you want to talk about first?
Oh man, they all kind of go together. So, I mean, I guess I could weave them all together if you'd like. I mean, we could start with, where did this all start? Well, we had hired some virtual assistants. When I say we, I mean kind of a loose partnership of people in the life insurance and with Kimberly, and some things there. And we got invited about 2 weeks ago to a 30 days of Christmas marketing webinar from a gentleman in Australia. I think his name was Jason Grossman. We'll throw a plug out to him. He's got VAs and does all this business coaching. And he gave some really awesome ideas that I really thought no, let's do this, right? And so I just jumped into action, which is kind of what I do sometimes. Is you get an idea and then just start running with it, right? Mm-hmm. So the first one was a virtual holiday party. So on December 27th at 7 Central Time, we're going to be live streaming a holiday party, and we're still working on the performer list and all the things that are going to happen, but we will have Tamale Sepp, who's a comedian that we worked with in locally and with real estate before the pandemic, and then she started touring right as the pandemic hit, and so put a break on that for a while, but she's still doing it. So we've created Wealth Transformation Foundation, WTF, which kind of tongue in cheek with the WTF, keep it fun, right? So the group, Facebook group, I think you just posted there, is where all of that's going to take place. So we're going to be posting into there. We're going to be asking people to join the group in order to get the notification for the live stream. There's also the YouTube channel. So those are the two places where we plan to have those streamed. And so it's going to be a good time. We have a Joan Rivers impersonator, Ellie Weingart, who's going to kind of MC the whole thing as Joan Rivers. And then, we're working on adding some other talented people to the mix, and merely just have a fun evening of entertainment. And we're going to give away some prizes to people who join the group or follow the YouTube page. And so part of that is to really just build a following of people who want to get their financial houses in order and their lives in order. And that's what Wealth Transformation Foundation is about. So Wendy Thompson, who's my marketing director at PHP, we got stood up for a conversation with another agent. And this was immediate, minutes after I had jumped off of that 30 days of Christmas marketing webinar. And I'm like, oh, I've got this great idea. And she's like, well, I've got this great idea. And we just put them together, and here we go. So we've added, we're adding, other talented people to the mix. And so the virtual holiday party was the first thing. The second thing is a 12 days of Christmas giveaway. And so the idea there is to just have a giveaway, and, people have to give us some of their basic information in order to join that. We've got some gift cards. We've got some lottery tickets. The big idea was, well, let's just go buy one of those 475 million, Mega Millions or Powerballs, and everybody who registers, win, right? can get a piece of that, right? And if there's 1,000 people who register, that's a lot of money, for everybody involved. If we get 1 million people to register, it might only be a couple bucks, but either way, right? It's a shot at winning. I don't envision we'll get 1 million in the next,
Well, where do we sign up for that? Because you didn't tell me that part. I want to part of that.
Yeah, so that is a little more still in progress on the sign up for that, but that will be dropped into that Facebook group, the Wealth Transformation Foundation Facebook group, and then there will be some videos in there that we're gonna be putting in that will reintroduce that in the coming days. I'm still working on the landing page and all of the little particulars to make that work. So there's that. Now, all of this is really leading into our event that's going to be on January 13th, which is starting a wealth webinar series that we're still creating. But we have Jason Mickey, who's a financial planner and a friend of mine from Team Management Leadership Program at Landmark, who's going to lead the first day. And that's going to be the afternoon of January 13th. It's going to be live in Oak Brook Terrace, Illinois at the PHP office, and we're going to stream that as well. But what that's going to look at is how do you get your financial house in order, right? There are tons of people right now with credit card debt up to their ears, especially with the holidays. I know I'm looking at my bills all right, I got to get some closings to actually close in order to cover all of these gifts and all the other things that, show up at the beginning of the year. as the homeowners association fee is due in January, my timeshare fee is due in January, like all these things start to pile up. So how do we deal with those things? And like what a lot of people do is they say, okay, I'm going to create a budget, right? And then they put all their stuff into, I'm going to spend this on this and this and that. And I've done that with different apps on your phone. And what Jason introduced me to earlier this year was this concept of money flow. So you have, and I'm going to probably screw it up, but you have a checking account for all of your fixed expenses, and you have a checking account for all of your variable expenses. And what he's going to do on the 13th is introduce those concepts of those ideas of how you can use that to get control of your spending. And he says his average client finds a couple $100 that they can't explain where it goes. And so what we want to do is get people to that point, right? Mm-hmm. February is either going to be, filing your taxes or, reducing credit card debt, things like that. Like those are the next couple of months of content. And then eventually what we want to be able to do is say to people like, listen, we have just got you in a place where you can pay your mortgage on time, you're saving money. Like, all right, now let's start to look at some of these other goals that you would really like to accomplish now that you've got a handle on this, so that now we can start to have conversations with people about life insurance, right? Which is one of the other first things that people should probably take a look at, especially if they've got families, because those families are depending on their income. If something happened to them, they'd lose all that income, and what happens now? Now you've got a personal disaster with a financial disaster immediately behind it, right? So right. You got that double whammy. So in order to keep people from getting into those situations, like we can get some pretty inexpensive term life. I think for Dawn, we have a $200,000 policy that we got a couple of years ago, but it's like $20 a month, right? So right now, our whole mortgage could get covered with that term life and policy that's $20 a month, roughly, right? And of course, the younger you are, the cheaper it is, and so on. But the idea is to get people what they need or what they can afford now, and then add more as we go. On top of that, then, as a realtor, getting people to clean up their credit, clean up their debt, get to a position where they could actually become homeowners, those that aren't, or, people who are right now stuck in their houses because their interest rate's 3% and they're like, oh no, I'm not going to 7%, right? We can start to plan on like, okay, how do we get you there and have it not hurt, so there's all those things that we're working on putting in for 2024 to financially enable people who are going to follow the page to get a lot of great content out of that, and then be able to work with the great people that we're going to bring in to share all of those different ideas. So that is the big idea for 2024, is to create, this community of people who want financial freedom. That's one of the things that Kimberly and I, when we first started working together, that was the core of it, right? Is radiant radical financial freedom for all by 2035, right? And it's kind of a far enough out there goal that we got plenty of time, right? But the idea is still like one person at a time or a couple of people at a time, like just start working on it and build something from the ground up that helps people make more money or keep more money or whatever. So we've got tons of ideas and strategies and things that can go into making that happen for anybody.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, as somebody who had sold life insurance way back in the day, like it's been at least 10, 15 years.
Yeah, this is my second go around.
Right. Well, the thing of it is, I've had my first life insurance policy when I was 25. I made sure that I took it out. And I never wanted my parents to have to, if anything happened to me, that they would have to pay. And then I sold life insurance for a while. And I'm a firm believer that everybody should have what they can, at least start with what you can afford, so that, because heaven forbid something happens to you, that's the financial devastation, is while you're trying to take a deep breath after you just lost your spouse or somebody dear to you, is you want that breathing space, that breathing room while you're grieving, right? And so I've always been a firm believer to have insurance for those times. So love what you're doing. Been there, done that, and glad for people like you that continue on with that legacy. And so, yeah, a firm believer in making sure that our families are protected. Love that. So what would be the three biggest things that you've had to overcome to where you're at in business today?
Wow. I would say the number one thing is working on the business while having a family and the demands that that family has. It's really hard to be totally dialed in on work and generating income, um, and still be able to fold the laundry and do some of the other things around the house, because I mean there have been times where like I just haven't been home because I've been working so much. And I had some great years where I made $100,000+ a year. And my wife was, hey, I'd like some more support around here, because she would bear the brunt of getting the kids around and feeding them and all the housework and things. So I'd say that has been the hardest thing. And I just saw this Facebook video, I think this morning, maybe even, where it was like the wife, getting on the husband when he just walked in the door. And he's like, hold on, I just got home from work and you want me to go do stuff immediately? Like, let me take my shoes off first, right? And so the expert was like, wives, don't do that to your husbands. Like, support him in what he's up to, right? Give him some breathing room, and then in a supportive way, make the request, right? And for me, a lot of times it was kind of like the, hey, I'm dying here, right? Like screams for help, not like, please help me, right? And it makes a difference when you're getting yelled at versus being lovingly asked to do something. A lot more likely to do it in the second one, right?
Can I just say one thing there? I totally get you. When I didn't realize it. Like when my husband comes home, you need to give him at least 15-20 minutes by himself. Let him like quiet his mind after a long day at work. And there have been occasional times where I walk through that door, and the first moment I walk through the door, the kid is at the door. What's for dinner?
Right.
Or the husband, what's for dinner, or what's this, or 20 questions. Don't ask me 20 questions as soon as I walk through the damn
Yeah.
door for work.
Yeah.
So I get you.
Yes. So I've been doing some coaching with Tazima, who you
Cool.
probably know. Tazima
Yes.
is great. Infinite Relating, I think .com is her website if anybody wants to check that out. But what I've been getting from her is, the way that I think about things and the way that Dawn thinks about things are completely different, right? Like she's got her checklist of 20 things that she could kind of focus on at one time. I mean, I still think that that's a myth, right? That you could actually focus on that many things at once and multitask, right? Myth of multitasking. But like for me, I'm very focused on one thing at a time, right? And so these other things don't even exist. So like she'll come in and like, you've been home all day. Did you do this? And I'm like, I've been home, but I've been in this office with the door closed, and like I spent 3 minutes making something to eat, coming back into my desk to eat it, right? So like there's that, right? And so I've very focused on this. And so what I need is for them not to come in and interrupt me while I'm in the middle of something, and to wait, which is why I've got this curtain in my office now. We learned many years ago that if the door is open, then I'm available, even though I'm at work in my own house, right? So those kinds of things are just kind of what we've developed. And some of the things I've gotten from Tazima is for women more, there's all this anxiety, right, about all kinds of things that you're getting worried about. And for me to take one thing off that list, or to be aware of it at least, and address it is going to make a huge difference. So yeah.
I 100% agree with what you said, with Tazima's coaching, because I have that. I could literally have 50 things going through my brain all at the same time. And what I didn't realize until I talked to Drew, he's the men's catalyst. He's a men's coach. What I
Mhm.
didn't realize was men have a box inside their brain that literally holds nothing, where a
Oh,
woman
yeah.
does not have that. A woman cannot shut this off, where a man literally has a box inside of his brain that has nothing going through it,
Yeah.
and allows you guys to just be able to shut down.
Yeah. It's like a
And
switch, right?
yeah, and
I come
that's
home
what.
from work, doing something, or I leave my office, like work generally stays in here unless the phone rings and it's a client who needs something. But, for the most part, I keep them, I mean, I have a wall between between them, right?
Right.
Most of the time.
Well, and it's great that you're able to work from home, but you have to be diligent with that. Like you have to have, nope, these are my working hours. Don't bug me. And I,
Mhm.
I get what you said about that because um, if the door's open, everybody walks through here, and wants,
Yeah.
and that's the time that they ask me the question. I could sit in the
What's for
front
dinner?
room. I could sit in the front room for an hour. No one says a damn word to me. The moment I get into my office, everybody
Right.
needs me.
You're on the
Um,
phone or whatever. Yeah.
and so I get that. That is, other than that, in my mindset, trying, making sure that that's properly and right all the time. That is the number one thing because being in here, um, if the door's closed, you don't come knocking.
Right.
So love that. And well, you kind of alluded to it, but what are the three things that you help your clients overcome?
I mean, I think a lot of times with clients, especially in real estate, the anxiety that they have in the market that we're currently in is, if I sell my house, will I be able to find something that I like in the time frame that we have? So that has, for the last, I don't know, two plus years, probably maybe three, been at the top of the list of, let's have strategies in place and let's make sure that you're not just getting the highest offer for your house, but that you're getting the best offer. So a lot of times that includes like post-possession agreements. So I've had a lot of clients that have had, really useful time to stay in their house after they've sold it, which gives them the power to go and buy a house without having to have it contingent on the sale. So they're not getting outbid or getting their offer just tossed to the side because they have to sell their house first.
Mhm.
And most of them don't need all the time that they've gotten, right? So I've got one right now. We negotiate, I think, 2 months. He's going to use 4 days of his post-possession agreement. So like it's a security blanket, right? Like people I found don't normally use all of the security blanket that we get for them. But it's nice to have it because that homeless fear goes away, or that I have to go live with my parents again for a month, right? I did that for like 10 months with my wife when we built this house, right? It the permits took longer. Like it was supposed to be like 3 months, it turned into 10. So I get it, right? Like you're going to be displaced, and not everybody has, the same kind of relationship maybe with their mom or their parents that I have, right? So it wasn't bad, right? My mom wasn't home most of the time. She was single at the time, like going out and doing her own thing. So it was great. It was actually pretty good, right? Like we didn't have a mortgage payment for that long, right? We had our own little room or space, so it worked out. But have that's the big fear for people is what am I going to do? And so creating either a long enough closing time frame or the post possession, really makes a difference. And then I think really it's just being able to have the experience to address anything that they have, because I've seen it, most all of it before, right?
Mhm.
Every once in a while, I'm like, man, I've never seen that before. And I have a laugh with my, the attorney that I work with all the time. And he's like, no, I've never seen that one either. And we're like, okay, every once in a while it happens, right? Something
Right.
weird. But for the most part, it's the same thing. People have the same, concerns.
Right.
Am I going to get the money I need for my house? Is it going to sell in time? Am I going to, be homeless? So
Mhm.
really focus on fixing that problem for them.
What would you say would be the most bizarre client you've ever had?
That's a tough question for me, Dorothy, because I don't usually hold on to things. Like, and maybe that's another guy thing versus a girl thing, right? Like it just kind of goes out. But I mean, there are people who, I mean, I guess the most bizarre thing that happens consistently is that people think that their house is the best house in the neighborhood. And it's not, right? And oh, but wait, I have, and I use this example all the time, but I have heavy duty nails in my house, right? And like, okay, who cares? Yeah,
Somebody actually said that.
well, it's an example from Floyd Wickman, who's a real estate trainer.
Oh, okay.
But I did have last week I had I have double brick walls, so my house is more solid than all the rest of them. But like, okay, it's brick. Who double brick? How do you confirm that? Number one, right? And number two, does it really add that much in terms of value? And the answer is no, right? Like I have a lot of clients who have said, "Oh, but this house just sold over here," and I'm like, "But that one's new construction. New construction sells at a premium because those people got to choose exactly what they wanted in the house, and they're paying more for it to have that privilege, right? Like 10 or 20% more." So, I mean, the same thing with a lot of these things, like they've got pond views, they've got 3-car garage where most of the homes maybe have a 2-car. Like it doesn't add $50,000 worth of value to your house, like maybe 5 or 10, right? But at the end of the day, like having the best carpet in the neighborhood doesn't add any value. And I actually had a joke with the appraisal that I did on Monday about that. Like, she's like, "This is really nice carpet." And I was like, "I bet it adds a ton of value to the house, doesn't it?" Right. And she's like, "I wish, but it doesn't, right? At the end of the day, it's square footage. It's how many bedrooms and baths and some of those other amenities, like the big stuff, right? Appliances don't matter in appraisal. So you're just managing the expectations and making sure that people are in the best position to get what they want, which is usually not pricing it as high as possible. It's pricing it lower and getting multiple offers and picking the best one.
Awesome. And so Steve is in the Illinois area. So if you need a realtor in Illinois, he is your guy to go to.
Or if you need a referral anywhere in the world, we've got
There we go.
Keller Williams has a network everywhere. So,
Very
I can always help with that too.
cool. And with the life insurance, are you able to go outside of Illinois with that too, or just strictly Illinois?
Yes, I actually have already gotten a Florida license, and it's not very hard. All I had to do really for that was just go get fingerprinted and pay a state fee. So, in the plans is to grow the the life insurance team to be nationwide, to where I need to get a license everywhere so that I can get paid on everywhere, right? And it's not like it's going to be tons of money, but if you've got 1,000 people in your downline, right, in your team, then $1 each per month turns into a lot of money, right? So, I mean, that's kind of the concept. So the idea is to be recruiting people for both real estate and for life insurance and for solar potentially one day, across the country, where I've got these teams of people all over, that I have a financial benefit, and they get to call me if they've got problems, if they want, to help them.
Perfect. So join
And I
Steve and
was a
his
teacher,
team.
right? So I could help people with anything.
Well, there we go. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Help everywhere. Everyone
Yes.
everywhere is the new theme for 2024.
Yes. There was a book I read. I don't remember what it was called, but it was "Help a Lot of People Make a Lot of Money." It was like the recurring theme in the book. It was like a little tiny book, but that's what it was all about. It's just help people, right? And it'll come back to you.
I had this coach that always said, if you help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want. And that has stuck with me forever. So I always, over deliver and underestimate, and keep people happy is the main goal.
Yeah, keep people happy is the goal, because you don't want any Google reviews with 1 stars, right? Either. But
that is true.
At the end of the day, right, getting the job done, right, is fulfilling, and getting paid at the same time. And I'm for everything, right? I only get paid when it gets done, right? When the client's happy and they get what they want, right? That's when I get paid. So, I mean, I don't get paid up front for anything.
Right.
So they got to be happy, or I'm not going to get any referrals. They're not going to complete the deal. Like, it just doesn't work.
Right. So join Steve and his team December 27th. Go to the Facebook group right now, sign up for that event. And then check out their YouTube channel at Transformation Foundation. Go check that out there.
Not a lot there yet, but there will be. We're working on it.
Everything happens in sessions.
In
That's
good
what
time, right?
in
Yeah.
good time.
Gradually. New Year's resolutions don't work if you just jump on everything all at once.
That is the truth. And that's why I haven't had one in decades. And yeah. Instead, read the book, The Atomic Habit, and be 1% better each day.
Yeah.
And do those micro atomic habits, and
Right.
which form into big habits, which
Continual
form into
improvement.
life transformation.
Yes. Yep. That's what we're up to. Is just putting a little bit more in every day.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Dave. This half hour went
Yeah,
by quickly.
it did.
It totally did. Thank you for those of you that have joined us tonight, and for those of you that are going to watch the replay later, that are in probably your drive time on your way home right now. But is there any last thing that you want to say to leave our guests with, Steve?
Just go join the group. There's going to be tons of tips from tons of experts as we continue to build the bus as we go. So there's going to be financial tips, there'll be tax tips, there'll be house tips, mortgage tips, credit tips. Like our big vision is like anything that you could need, like we're gonna have it, right? Like that's the big audacious hairy goal is, be able, you need a plumber here, we got this guy here, right, in your neighborhood, right? You need a window guy, we got that too, right? Like, and just to have that be part of our group of services is everything in the kitchen sink, right? Like that just came to me. So maybe that's our new tagline.
Maybe, yeah. Everything you could possibly need for your home, finances,
Your life. Yeah.
life. Yes. Love it. Love
Yeah.
it. Love it. Love it. So go get signed up today in Steve's Facebook group here. Go check that out. Get signed up.
Win some prizes, maybe.
Win some
Or
prizes.
just have some fun, right? Learn some stuff.
Exactly. I'll be behind the scenes that night, just taking it easy. I will be front and center, which is going to be nice. I'll be in the back. So I'll see you there. And don't forget, guys, be unstoppable in all that you do. And see you same time, same channel next week. Bye for now.